starting to get a little closer towards potential cause, but we haven't fully landed there yet.
Well, county officials are testing the water this morning to determine if the water in the area is still contaminated, but they are hopeful that the beaches will be open in the next few days. And joining us now to talk more about the Oceanside Pier as a structure and how a fire like this can impact it is Arik Montijo, who's a structural engineer for Lovelace Engineering. Arik, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Now, you grew up in Oceanside.
I did. I grew up in Oceanside, local my whole life,
So you know this pier pretty well.
I know this pier pretty well. I think I learned how to walk on that pier.
No
I'm
kidding.
honest with you,
You saw the video. You saw it from the helicopters and everything that was going on. It was engulfed in flames.
Yeah.
What, as a structural engineer, what were you thinking at that time?
Well, as a structural engineer, it's very interesting, right? Of course, this thing's on fire, right? So there's always a danger. There's always the worry of like, is this going to collapse? Is there life safety issues that are going on with that? But from a personal perspective, it's also, wow, this is, I took my wife there on our first date in Ruby's a long time ago. So,
Ruby's was great.
It's hard to see it. Yeah, it hurts.
Yeah, it is. Okay. What kind of structural damage could have been done by this?
Yeah, of course. So the pier, you can basically think of it as two separate structures. There's the substructure, which contains the timber piers. Those are very iconic. Everyone loves to take pictures of those. Mm-hmm. And between those timber piers, there's beams, right, connecting them. That's the substructure. You can think of that as a base, right, the legs of the pier. On top of that is a superstructure, and that runs the joist line between the beams. And it also has the wood planks that you actually walk on. So as far as damage goes, it could be anywhere, but hopefully the damage is located in the superstructure because that's a lot more accessible to replace.
Right, because if it's down below, you're talking about pilings and things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's made out of wood.
Yeah.
Do you know how long ago the pier was made, roughly?
It was made in 1987, I think, this new one. But the pier has been some sort of pier since, like, the 1800s.
Sure.
So, but this one was made in 1987, I'm pretty sure. And it's made out of wood. Yeah, right. It is. It's a great material. One of the reasons why it was made out of wood in the first place, if you think about what kind of loads the pier is under, it's under dynamic loads such as the waves, rising and falling of tides, also high winds. So wood is a very flexible material, so it actually makes a lot of sense to build piers out of wood.
Okay, that does make sense that you put it that way. Do you think in the reconstruction or the repairs of this, they'll continue to use wood, or is there maybe a flame-proof substance that you might be able to use?
Yeah, I think that they're going to, weigh all the materials and weigh the options. I think definitely there's going to be a big emphasis on fireproofing from here on out. But since it's already a wooden pier, I don't think they're going to, stray too far from the template. They're just going to try to retrofit it so that it's up to code and ready for, any other natural disaster.
We're still waiting on the word as far as the cause of the fire. Mm-hmm. But when it comes, when you look at that, and I know you're not a construction guy, you're an engineer, but how long do you think it might take to get this thing repaired and back open?
I love that question. I actually get that question all the time at work. So, that's honestly something that I can't really comment on. It can take a long time or it can take a short time. It really does depend on what direction the city takes. I know this is an iconic pier. Everyone loves this pier. Everyone likes to take pictures of it. So I'd expect that the city's going to get on it right quick. And once we do that, once we get the engineers on board and they start making blueprints for reparation, it should start going up pretty quick.
I'd imagine you're anxious, given your past in Oceanside, taking your wife out there, learning to walk on the pier.
Yeah.
You're anxious to get back out there and see it repaired and back to restoration.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to take I got two daughters, 6-year-old twins, and I'm going to take them, walk them down that pier just like my pop did. So I'm very excited to go. And, I'm going to be looking at the structure. Everyone else is going to be looking at the waves, but I'll definitely be looking, see what happens.
Yeah, you know what I wonder about? Ruby's Diner was so cool. And if I'm not mistaken, it was COVID that kind of put them under.
Yeah, 2021.
Right. And so I'm wondering, do you think they're going to build another structure? Do you think somebody might say, okay, now there's a lot of attention to the Oceanside Pier. We are ready to invest in another diner or restaurant, something like that, rather than just leaving it flat?
Please do. I would love to have another diner out there. I feel like it's just such a part of Oceanside culture as a local. That's what it is. We did it, date nights. Anytime we wanted to go out, we went out to that pier. So hopefully they put out a new diner out there.
All right, Arik Montijo, we really appreciate you coming in.
Yeah.
Answered a lot of questions we were curious about.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, a family-friendly